Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant and Descendant for the month of September. Can you believe it? I can't. I'm using the Tarot of the Abyss for you today. Do I have anything to tell you? I believe not. No, let's get straight on with this. So can I have 3 cards for Scorpio, please? Ooh, there's the first one. We have the King of Pentacles in your recent past. Current energy for Scorpio, please. Have 2 there. How fascinating. Do you know, when I started the meditation before I did your reading, I had a really strong feeling that the Ace of Cups was going to come up, and here it is with the Queen of Pentacles, almost more potent in that combination that it would have been by itself, and the power of an ace should not be underestimated. It gives it a direction, and we'll come back to that. Tell me what's coming towards Scorpio, please, for September. Oh, thank you. We have the 4 of Swords. I like that. I like that a lot. We've got the 5 of Swords and the 10 of Swords and the Moon at the bottom of the deck, but it is followed by Temperance, and I think this is so important. It feels to me like September will be a breakthrough month for you, Scorpio. I know that you've been kind of wandering around in this very intense state for some months now, but it looks like you're reaching a point where it cracks wide open, and maybe to a degree you crack wide open too. I mean, let's get some clarifiers and we'll see what else is going on here before I say too much more. It's been a bit of a ride, for sure. Tell me about this King of Pentacles, please. What's the King of Pentacles here? Whoa. We've got the 5 of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles. Interesting. Tell me about the Queen of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups, please. Thank you. We've got the Queen of Cups. I just want to point out that here the Ace of Pentacles is flipped in the deck. I'm going to show it to you, but not take it. Because at this point it's just the hint of a new start in the material realm somewhere. It's not right, you're not quite ready to jump out yet. Tell me about this Queen of Cups and Ace of Cups, please. King of Wands and the Hanged Man in reverse. The Magician's fallen on the floor here as well, and I think that's also important. There's movement here for you, Scorpio, and it's about time. I think it feels like it's time. You're probably quite tired of being where you have been for the last few months, the last 6 months. Tell me about the 4 of Swords, please. 4 of Swords. I've got another Cups card. Oh no, Queen of Swords. I've got all these queens coming out. And the Knight of Swords, yeah. So we've got the Page of Cups at the bottom of the deck, and it's followed by the 6 of Wands, which is absolutely glorious, and this 4 of Swords. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but the fact that the 4 of Swords is coming out repeatedly, or at least showing its face to me repeatedly, I think is a really, really good thing. We'll get to that later on. Let's start off here with this Pentacles energy, because we've got this Taurian card of the King of Pentacles. I'm going to shut that fucking window. It's Taurus. It's earth energy, and it's about the way in which you ground yourself sometimes. The whole Pentacles suit has its basis in the material, and that isn't just money. And I would really like to get away from this notion that the Pentacles suit is all about money, because I actually feel like if you were to pick a suit that represented, you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it would be the Pentacle suit. Pentacles are energetic currency to me. So anything that you are capable of investing, which does include money, yes, but it's also your time and your care and your effort and your love. All of these things, they become pentacles. And it's about where you direct those, what you consider to have value, real intrinsic value in the life that you are living right now. Now, the King of Pentacles has got this kind of dutiful feel to him. It's a way that one can express a particular sense of care and devotion to other people, and that is in the provision of these things. Again, not just money, but where you put your attention, where you put your focus. Now, Scorpio, you've always had that kind of half an eye on that anyway, because those people that you are truly devoted to, and there is always someone, even though the circle is very, very small for you, they have everything that you can give. You know, when you trust someone, it is full. There are no half measures here, and like sometimes we can border on slightly obsessive, right? And that's cool. But there's a shift in the way. There has been a shift in the way that you are appreciating value, not just of other people, not just of your material circumstances, not just of your investment circumstances, but also in the way that you are seeing you. Like, you have changed, Scorpio, and it's been going on for a while now. And I think for the most part, although you sense this shift within you, probably at this point you're not quite sure what that means. And that's because you've been right in the center of the fog, right? You've kind of been moving around without any real sense of where it is that you are going, what the end destination is. You know, there's no sense of you being able to get up on a high hill and look over and go, right, it's over there, that's where I need to go. You've been right down in the valley, in the middle of it, and without realizing it, without any sense of where you are as set against where you're going, you have made incredible progress. And it feels to me like the fog is lifting, and not only is the fog lifting, but you're also seeing now that there are paths that will take you up to the hillside where you can see, you know, the panorama from an elevated position. Now, this King of Pentacles here is one that speaks to me far more than any other depiction of the King of Pentacles that we ever see, about understanding the true nature of abundance. And he's here with his jacket open, and the pentacle is across his heart. It is understanding the value of that which you have to invest. Right? Look at that. It's beautiful. And what you've done, almost without realizing it, and I know a lot of you have been extremely lost in this time, knowing that there is a process that is underway and knowing that it has to be done, but without necessarily something to anchor it to. It's just been a sense of living somewhere entirely different to, you know, everywhere else, everyone else. It comes down to the intrinsic value of you, Scorpio. That one thing that you've really never allowed yourself to feel. But because all aces are seeds, you know, one must take that ace from where it is and do something with it before it can start unleashing the potential of it. It's like you've taken it and you've put it across your heart. There's kind of like little leaves and things that are coming off the pentacle there. What you have done is planted a seed. Now, you're not at the end yet. You're not about to see, you know, the huge results of this thing, but the seed has been planted, and from here it can grow because you've planted it exactly where it needed to go, the perfect conditions here over your heart. And what you've done is you've transmuted a lot, right? We're going from the 5 of Pentacles to the 10. This is not just a little movement, this is a huge movement. And so the ways in which you have not met your own basic needs forever, and I'm not talking about food and stuff like that, I'm really talking about a sense of peaceful compassion towards yourself. Like, that's always been absent from the Scorpio discourse. It's now shifted and changed, almost under the cover of the fog. And what we see now is you emerging from this fog, changed, different, where you were necessarily on the outside of things because for the most part you put yourself there. It was a better vantage point when you're looking in at a situation and you can calculate all the different variables associated with any kind of relationship, any kind of situation that you found yourself in. Then you knew the next steps to take. And we keep working with this metaphor of the fog. what these last few months have done for you have actually, it's been a sort of elimination of the possibility of you calculating the variables above. You know, it's been something quite akin to forcing you to be present. I've spoken before about how the Scorpio way of going about life is quite energetically and expensive, and a lot of people don't understand that about Scorpios. There are ways in which you are trapped in the past, and they feed the fear that kind of underpins how you deal with your future, you know, and that's why you kind of sat at the edge of the web looking at it and waiting for something to pull on a little string somewhere, and then you're like, right, okay, there's the threat here. That constant state of threat detection has worn you out, Scorpio. It's been absolutely exhausting. And so what's happened is that ability has been taken away from you. Not like a theft, not like you've been mugged of your ability to look after yourself, but more sort of taking away those external distractions from you and kind of sitting you in a place where you need to deal with what it is to be Scorpio right now in 2021, what it is to be you right here in 2021, with all of the life experiences that you have had up until this point. I really do feel like the desire for peace is now becoming, or has become, so overwhelming that intuitively you allowed yourself to be pulled into this fog, go down into the valley and sit there. And even at points where it felt like it was too much, and what you wanted more than anything else was just to be able to exit this and go back to how things were before, you still didn't move. And 3 of the 4 fixed signs, of which you are one, have been sitting in this other place. And I don't know where it is. I don't claim to know what it is, but I know that we have been somewhat detached from the R3D environments while we deal with what has been going on with us internally for a long time. And like I said, you're emerging from this now in a state of having transmuted what is essential Scorpio existence. I don't like myself very much. I don't trust other people. I don't like other people. I am on constant guard against the next person who may come along and injure me some way. And if I do get injured from that, then more for me for allowing that to happen. Going from that kind of energy to something much more clean, you know. There's darkness here. There's snow falling there. There is that isolation implied. And when I say you quite often sit yourself there, it was always a protective mechanism, but the life cycle of this protective mechanism extended far beyond where was necessary. And the ways in which you had to protect yourself while you were young now no longer apply. It's like a true understanding in the fullest sense that you are powerful enough to withstand any storm. And you don't have to do it at the expense of your emotions. You don't have to do it at the expense of your heart. This is a truly profound shift that's going on. You know, we go from the darkness to the light here. And if it's something that in my experience Scorpios have always disavowed, it is their capacity for light. And understandably so, because of the life experiences that you've had up until this point. You know, they have been, for the most part, conducted in the dark. And when you can't see where you're going, you can't even necessarily quite see where you've been. And you don't really know where you are right now. Like, all of your senses kind of on high alert all of the time. Because you don't want to be sideswiped by something, because that equals disempowerment, that equals pain, that equals vulnerability, and all of those, even vulnerability particularly, has equated to pain for you. But we go from the 5 to the 10. And the 10 of Pentacles, complete material fulfillment. I mean, that's often what that means. It's sometimes called the inheritance card. But those are flat interpretations that I don't really want to apply when it comes to Scorpio. Because there's always something deep going on underneath. And so we look at this as heritage and legacy and the snapshot in time that this card represents. And here you are. I said earlier, it was about the transmutation. It is about shifting. Now, what's shifted here is your perspective, for sure. It's also your acceptance that dealing with your own demons is not going to destroy you. Because I feel like that's the thing that Scorpio's been the most afraid of. We have a sense of you wanting to change the legacy that seemed inevitable. That everything eventually ends in pain, in loss, and abandonment. You know, I wonder if a few of you have been sitting contemplating how much you have drawn some of these experiences towards you. I'm not saying you deserve them, because nobody deserves the things that you've experienced. But sitting in a state of expectation of these things occurring has almost inevitably led to you being right in that way. Like I've said before to you, you know, you've lived however long you have lived as an adult, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, however long it is, with these same patterns forming over and over again. And a sense that it is now time to do things differently. Not just for you. Sorry about that. Not just for you, but also for others. Now, not just randoms that you see on the street, because I'm feeling this sense of responsibility for you. So it could be for your children, it could be for your friends, it could be, you know, it could be for anyone. But there's a sense of changing the legacy that you were almost programmed to bring into something else. It is not being a slave to the way that things have always been. It is about understanding that you have the power not only to prevent pain per se, but to start to accept your own lightness, your own capacity for light. And understand the effect that that has on the people that are most important to you. Tell me about this 10 of Pentacles, please. Yeah, I mean, couldn't really have put it any better myself. The first card out is the Queen of Pentacles. Again, this all comes back to you, Scorpio. It isn't about the experiences that you've had or the people that gave you those experiences. It's about what you choose to do with that now. And rather than protection, self-protection being the first and only real motivation that underlies your responses to things. Because that always swerves around the fact that you hold worth. You know, this state of fear that has plagued you for such a long time. Almost like you were a magnet for bad things and bad people coming towards you. And then sitting in a state of expectation of that. Well, I don't really deserve anything else. Why should I be surprised that this thing happens, right? But this shift that has happened here has been like, I never really sat in my own value before. I never really understood how important I was, not just to the people around me, but actually to myself. I've never really held that sense of importance about myself. We've got the Sun and we've got the Magician. Now it could be that there's been a Gemini or a Leo around you that has helped that lesson really start to percolate into you. But I don't feel like it is. I feel like the expectation of things going wrong is one of the things that's been dissipated by the fog. Like it just kind of floated off. And that which you were so afraid to even consider was a possibility, that you, Scorpio, might actually be able to be happy. That you, Scorpio, might actually be, rather than in a state of self-protection all the time, actually involved in an outward manifestation of good things coming towards you, happy situations, unleashing your joy, which we know you can feel. And possibly might be able to feel to such a great extent that it might blow your mind. You know, when you are down in the dark, deep depths, right, you're experiencing life down here. And let's say like a mediocre line is this, and there you right down here. You understand that. But what seems to be unlocking for you is this idea that if you can go down here, you can also experience life up here. It's all about the perspective that you bring. We've got the Eight of Cups at the bottom of the deck. There are some profound life experiences that the emotions of which you carried around with you for a long time, and they are just like the rest of it, just kind of floating off in the mist now. They're not. You don't allow them to define you in the same way that you always have. What you've been engaged in is a really deep healing, Scorpio. And that's almost why you felt so lost in it. Because healing on this level cannot help but be a spiritual endeavor. You know, when we get very stuck in fear-based rationale, in fear-based expectations of things, it's very dense vibration stuff. And you've taken your eye off all of it. You've really gone within. And that sort of stuff doesn't really matter so much anymore. Really, really deep healing. You see what's behind that? Ace of Wands. It's time to start living differently. When we get to your current energy, we've got the Queen of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups. And I said, like, I felt that this was even more intensified by the presence of the Queen of Pentacles, because she is that nurturing energy. She is that sense of value of self. She's newly discovering it, I feel. And it's a grounded energy for you. You know, she's sat here and there's a trapdoor in the ground which she's opened up, and she's pulling this pentacle out, right? You have pulled your own pentacle out, your sense of value, your sense of self-worth. She had the key to it all along, as you did. Oh, we've got this Ace of Cups. I think it's the most beautiful depiction of the Ace of Cups. You are opening right up. This rush of emotion coming through you. But it feels to me like coming out of the fog, coming out of the confusion. is the point where you have really felt this. It's just like everything's cracked wide open and you're like, holy shit, everything's different. Like, I've come out of this fog and everything is different now. I feel different. People relate to me differently, and the ones that don't, I have no time for. I'm just like, you know. The need to protect yourself in the same way has gone. And the interesting thing about that is that it implies that at the very core of you, you have known your value. You just haven't wanted to accept it. We don't protect something that we don't feel is worth protecting. That's the long and short of it. There's no need to do it. But you have done it. And it's almost like there's been a tension between you in the way that you have treated yourself and what at the very core of the Scorpio experience has actually been rattling along. And you're like, no, I don't want to acknowledge that. That's awful. But it's kind of kept you in this whirring state of tension for such a long time, that in the act of accepting yourself, in the act of being compassionate towards yourself, forgiving yourself for whatever it is, and I can guarantee the things that you've needed to forgive yourself for actually didn't really need you to forgive them. That, you know, you were not responsible for the things that happened to you, and somewhere along the line you've taken responsibility for that, and you're like, right, I'm not going to let that happen again, right? But there must have been something that was worth protecting for you to do that, right? Otherwise you would have just cast yourself into the sea, right? No point in me being alive. I'm an awful human being, all that kind of thing, you know? You're opening up to your light, Scorpio, but in an extremely grounded fashion. I've been using the word profound a lot for the readings this month, and I don't want it to sound like I'm just kind of banding it around, but I am really seeing profound shifts for all of the signs, and I'm struggling to find another word to articulate what it is. But it all comes back to you, and this shift in perspective, this acknowledgement of your own value is enough to change everything. Just like the key in that lock, it opens it up. It allows this rush of emotion to come through. And rushes of emotion are things that you have associated with pain, with struggle, with hurt. And now you see that it does not have to mean those things. We've got the Queen of Cups, the King of Wands, and the Hanged Man in reverse. You have been in that position of discomfort, the fog, if you will, for long enough now. The illumination is yours. The enlightenment is yours. And the way that you move now is from the heart. This is a card of Leo here, and Leo rules the heart. Fire element, obviously. But he's all about action. It's the masculine expression of fire energy. So it's about doing, it's about activity, it's about experience, it's about living truly. And we have the Queen of Cups, opening up to all emotional experiences, not closing down away from them because they equate to pain for you. The way that you are changing, the way that you live, is to live from the heart. It is to allow yourself and that sensitivity that you have treated as a curse for such a long time, actually to guide you forwards from this point on, because the stasis is over. It's done now. You have learned what it was that you needed to learn, and now you can move from this place without fear. You know, Leo is associated with bravery and courage, and Scorpio, I've said a number of times, over the last few months. I see you. Like, what you have done has required courage. What you have done has required bravery. And although you may not have felt like either of those things during that time, this maybe is another thing that you need to accept about yourself. You're not just surviving anymore, Scorpio. We're shifting from survival to thriving, because you are not disavowing that part of you anymore, the part of you that feels from such a deep place. Oh, yay. So what's coming towards you in September? Four of Swords. And that for me is a card of peace. It can be a card of taking a break, of stepping back, of all those sorts of things, but ultimately it's a peaceful mind. In a lot of ways, your mind has not been kind to you. And it's all because your heart was so frightened, but as you have removed the fear from your heart, your mind doesn't have anything to hold on to anymore, and it doesn't have a sword that it can run you through with. All the swords are just placed against the wall. The knowledge is there, you know, the facts of your past are still there, but they're not in the hands of anyone, you or anyone else, to run you through. They're just resting up against the wall. And there are birds sat on top of it. Sat on top of the swords, on top of the helmet. It's like you've put your armour down. You don't need it anymore because you have peace. We have the Queen of Swords and the Knight of Swords facing off against each other here. That's Libra and Gemini energy respectively. But the Queen of Swords can be your friend. She's very discerning, and she's often known for putting emotion to the side when she is making decisions about things. Right? Tell me about the Queen of Swords, please. But in the absence now of the fear that was generated by your heart, the fear that caused everything to be viewed in a particular way, for you to need to have your responses applied ahead of time. She's becoming an altogether more welcome energy to you. Now, it seems to me that you're going to have a very important conversation in the month of September, and it's one that feels fated, it feels destined. It feels like information is coming to you, but it is important that your mindset is where it is for this conversation to happen. You know, we've got somebody rushing towards you with something. I'll have a look at that in a second. But because your mindset is so different now, the way that you receive this information is different too, right? A year ago, this might have thrown you off badly, caused you to bunker down. But I don't see that now. We've got the King of Cups at the bottom of the deck here, with the Three of Cups and the Ace of Cups and the Fool beneath that. I mean, these are new starts. Ace of Cups has come up here for you twice, but the Fool is the beginning of a new cycle. And all of those things that were difficult and painful for you are left in the old cycle now. Now there is a newness about everything, and a willingness to experience things on a new level. That Three of Cups there is about emotional support. I feel like there is less of a resistance from you in seeking emotional support, not seeing it as a sign of weakness in you, not seeing it that, you know, you have to deal with everything yourself. But things don't seem to be affecting you in quite the same way. really stepping up and owning your own emotions. And because you're in that place, it's such a powerful position. The two cards that came out when I clarified the Queen of Swords were the Ten of Cups and the Star. There is a return of hope for you. There's an understanding that you are actually a pivotal character in your collective. And that what has changed with you will ripple out to those people who are important with you, important to you. You always say what you fix in yourself, you fix in the collective. And generally speaking, I'm speaking about, the collective unconscious, the way that humanity in and of itself deals on that broad level with issues, emotional issues, spiritual issues as they arrive. But the collective here is those people that are important to you right now. Your family, your friends, whoever it may be. There's an overarching theme of healing here that is spreading not just from you, but out to others. Tell me about this Knight of Swords. What do you need to know? I've got the Page of Cups again. I have the Nine of Pentacles. Give me a minute. Oh shit, I said one. It's two. Let's have a look. We've got the Hermit and we've got the Four of Swords. This conversation, Scorpio, is one that is destined. It's one that is fated. And it's one that I don't think that you ever wanted to have. We've got the Nine of Swords at the bottom of the deck, but things have changed. I've spoken to some of the other signs about this energetic position that we feel ourselves in at the moment, but it is allowing us to collapse old timelines and create new ones. It's a change of direction for you. I see all the pages of all the suits as indicating somewhat of a turning point, where they go off in this new direction. And you've got this Page of Cups twice. But whatever information it is that is coming to you in September, I feel like you're back treading a well-worn path within you, but this time without the fog. This time you have illumination. It could be an apology from someone that comes quite out of the blue. And where in the past you might have completely ignored it, or you might have assumed that there was some sort of agenda behind it. I don't feel that from you now. You feel self-assured. You feel self-possessed in a way that you haven't experienced before. And this Nine of Pentacles here is about the way in which you energetically marshal your resources. Where attention goes, energy flows. And there's a discernment about things. Like I feel like old grudges from the past are really starting to shift, and it doesn't undermine how much those experiences upset you. It's a conscious decision not to give those things the attention in the same way, not allow them to form part of how you plan for the future, how you experience reality in the here and now, actually. Because it feels like it prompts, like I said, this well-worn path within. But here you have illumination. And you go in, how do I feel about this? I feel the Four of Swords. I feel a sense of peace. it doesn't feel to me like it brings closure to you. It shows you that you have already closed this out. And that's a really powerful position to be in. Whether you accept this apology or whether you don't, I feel for most of you, you will accept it in the spirit that it's meant, but it does not change the way that you feel. Because you've already undertaken the profound healing that was necessary for this situation. There's a peace about you now, Scorpio, and it's been hard fought for. And I just don't think that there's anything that will shake it now. Not now you know what that feels like. Okay. Scorpio, I'm going to go over to Vimeo now. We're going to pull some specifics out for September and see what's going on. Profound. You know, this self-realization, this self-actualization is what this is. Cannot help but feel enormous. And this month does mark the emergence from the fog for you. There's a clarity coming. If you don't feel it already, you'll certainly feel it soon. But you might already be getting a sense of that clarity. I'm going to go over to Vimeo. If you want to join me over there, that's the first link in the description box. The second link is the 6-month overview, obviously. And we will look at this. If not, if this is where we part ways, that is all cool also. I'm so proud of you, Scorpio. If nobody's told you that recently, if you haven't told yourself that recently, I am proud of you. Know that I love you all very, very much. And I will see you soon.